Alrighty, hello every folks. So, quick thing today. I've been asked over and over and over whether I've tried a triangle strategy yet, and well, if you weren't aware, I basically had a long-standing issue with actually getting a functional Switch over the course of the last few months, and finally, recently, I managed to get mine back. It was a very long story, but yeah, I got a chance to try out the prologue, and I gotta say, I have not been this happy to eat my words in a long friggin' time. And then, by the way, this is just kind of like an early impressions thing because I do plan to go through the entire thing and give a full review. Then, so far, I've just kind of gotten my hands on the prologue and all that kind of thing. But man, like this whole that whole project there, it's I want to say right off the bat, whatever the hell people are smoking when they're saying it's FFT, it is not. Um, it definitely wears its inspirations on its sleeve, and the thing is like a dang octopus of sleeves, because you get like bits and pieces of everything all over the place. But I want to say specifically, the FFT comparison comes up all the dang time. There's one thing, or actually, I guess technically two things, that are kind of like FFT. One of the conversation themes is kind of like one of the FFT conversation themes. Most of them actually are surprisingly like Tactics Ogre. Bit of a random note here. Like this particular theme, you change a couple notes, and it sounds a hell of a lot like the WLO theme from Tactics Ogre. But I never really understood why it was called that. I never really found out what WLO even stands for. Anywho, so yeah, as far as FFT goes, yeah, there's that theme, and then there's a couple of the sort of like side challenge fights, if you want to call them that. They're kind of like little training missions that only allow you to send out 6 people. Like, that is as close as those comparisons get. I have to say, as far as overall like unit composition, balance, and whatever else, a lot of GBA Fire Emblem vibes off that one. But the intro in particular just absolutely like blew my mind in terms of how many things were going right as far as the inspirations, just like in one solid moment there. The actual very first fight of the game actually is basically a daytime recreation of the Knight of Lotus intro. The barbarian guy and the archer kind of made me think of Stan and Cressida from Knight of Lotus. Immediately followed up by the main character's wife basically giving off massive like FFTA Ritz vibes, especially with the whole hair deal, which I know Valkyria Chronicles did that whole thing, but that was like a really, really, really lazy like racism metaphor for World War II. I don't know. Every time I go through any of the VC games, it always kind of seems a little cringy. But it, as far as that exact thing goes, but yeah, you have like Tactics Ogre stuff going on. You got FFTA stuff going on. The actual mission structure, the way that the fights are laid out, the kind of general flow of the thing, definitely made me think a lot of FFTA too. The way the conversations went, I expected to feel more like Shining Force or something like that, but it really made me think a lot of Front Mission 3 of all things. Because yeah, you have like a little area, you got a little thing to go through and all that kind of thing. Yeah, when they did it in Front Mission, it was just a menu, but I mean that kind of vibe of just you're going through, you're talking through everybody, there's just constant choices being thrown at you. And I feel like the choices feel a lot like Mass Effect to me. Because, yes, not all of them are going to make a massive impact, and apparently when you go back on New Game Plus, they actually tell you what each choice does, again, allegedly. But yeah, so far, I think even just in the prologue, there must have been like 30 plus different dialogue choices for different things, and they feel pretty legit. I gotta say, I was really expecting it to be a lot more tropey, cringy, all that kind of thing. Aside from the voice acting, it seems to have avoided a decent chunk of that. I was like, for example, when going through the prologue, I was specifically going and trying to suck up to the red guys, wondering like, hey, maybe we can just completely derail the conflict in a different direction. It feels like that's maybe possible. Supposedly, different routes take you on wildly different outcomes. So I'm kind of curious how that all ends up playing out. But yeah, it feels very satisfying. The fights feel great. As far as the visuals go, I turned off the depth of field and thought it looked a hell of a lot better. Your mileage may vary. But yeah, dialogue feels alright. Voices, I hated that crap. Turned it off. But yeah, dialogue in general feels believable, feels good. Actually, I really appreciate them going into pretty extreme amounts of logistics all over the place. There's actually kind of like Fallout-esque notes scattered about all over the place, just kind of giving you an idea of what's going on, in the background, like who's having what kind of economic status or whatever else. Actually, one particular one I appreciated was going over different kind of different appreciations of different amounts of salt for different kinds of food and different food pairings. If you go to the the Iron People's castle area thing, their friggin' Helm's Deep situation. Which, yeah, that was the other thing. I looked at it on the map like, man, that is that is some friggin' cool looking castle. Want to go take a look at that thing. And sure enough, they give you the option. They're like, hey, just go tell your people, go there. Actually, as far as the choices go, I kind of feel like a lot of that is a little bit more for flavor than anything, which it does, it does the job well enough. Like, it seems pretty clear that you're probably going to get your way on most of those choices. I'm hoping later on it gets a bit more, difficult and things like that, but I do appreciate that they actually, call you out. Like, for example, one of the early choices there. Anywho, so I gotta appreciate that, yeah, even early on, I believe it was the first use of the scales mechanic. It was kind of cool to see that if you go talk to the main character's wife and her handler and things like that, basically they're like, okay, look, this is like the only opportunity we have to go visit this other place. Can we just go there? Like, screw these other guys. Everyone's a dick over there. We don't want to go there. Can we not go hang out in friggin' medieval, not Russia? And yeah, sure enough, even after allegedly convincing them otherwise, you get to the actual thing, and they just turn around. They're like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, your decision sucks. I don't want to go there." So I do appreciate the characterization pretty well. It definitely feels like the original demo was far more for drama. There's a lot more subtle stuff going on, and again, at least the prologue. People tell me that it continues like this throughout the entire game. In which case, hell yeah, I'm excited for it. Actually, the only reason I haven't immediately gone and picked it up is due to a sudden bill that it decided to increase itself by $400+. So that was a fun experience. But yeah, I'm hoping to pick it up next month and kind of go give a full review from there. So far, gameplay wise, it's like I said, it's not Tactics Ogre. The choices are okay. So here's the thing. Choices wise, there's definitely Tactics Ogre inspirations there, clearly. As far as the overall flow of the game, like I said, feels very Mass Effect-esque because there's choices coming at you constantly. Some of them are more major than others, but a lot of it is just kind of coming down to flavor. But there do seem to be quite a few branching paths that you can end up going on. There's a lot of nice flavor dialogue, and actually I do like that you end up getting unlockable notes in different conversations and whatever else. Even if you go around and just read the notes or even ask people about certain things, you can very clearly lock yourself out of certain things just by not going down the right conversations, which, it feels natural. I really was expecting it to feel a lot more rigid. It feels pretty natural. For example, again, that first use of the scales mechanic there, you basically have a guy that's an advisor for another country, and you have enough time to ask him one question because everyone's getting ready to leave. And so you basically have a choice of do you want to find out about your local domestic problems and maybe avoid something in the future, or figure out what's going on in each of these two locations? And meanwhile, it's still carrying over stuff from two previous scenes where, during the tournament, you can go around and talk to different delegates from different places and kind of figure out what their whole deal is. And it's funny because one of the options there when having the husband and wife talk to each other was basically, hey, look, I heard from the delegates from your place that everybody sucks at your other home. Can we maybe not go there? It turns out that isn't very convincing, but I do appreciate that the option was there. I don't want to say it felt like New Vegas. It felt like Diet New Vegas, where it had the options there. You could clearly see stuff was being impacted. But overall, I had an absolute blast with the prologue. I think like I said before, I'm very happy to eat my words on this one. because I didn't think they could pull it off, and as far as I've seen so far, they pulled that mess off. Oh, and by the way, as far as the grinding thing, there were a few folks that were saying that you could create basically an infinite XP loop in the original demo. The skills are actually in a different order in the final game. So there's like a lot of it is flat upgrades, but you basically got to pick and choose. You don't really get infinite materials. Supposedly they become a bit more available as time goes on. But yeah, overall material wise, it seems pretty limited. You seem to need quite a decent bit for doing actual upgrades. Just they're pretty straight upgrades for the most part. But you do kind of go down trees, like do you want somebody to specialize in one particular stat over another, that kind of business. They don't seem like massive, but I would say level-wise, I didn't feel like the levels mattered that much. The levels mattered mostly for skills and unlocks, but as far as overall stats, I don't feel like the level stats matter that much. I had a guy that was stuck at 2. I brought him into a fight against a bunch of things that were 5s, and it, again, didn't really seem to matter much. I've heard the levels don't actually go that high, which, perfect, great, whatever. And yeah, I'm sure if you've heard other folks talking about it, yeah, usually 1 or 2 interactions with a character that's higher than them ends up balancing out the levels anyway. As far as the quote-unquote optional grind fights, there's the stuff that you can do at your camp there. It kind of makes me feel like a diet version of Ogre Battle 64 on that one, where you basically go and you have different sparring scenarios. And yeah, you're not going to get crazy over-leveled from that, and usually past the first one, you're not really getting a whole lot in the way of, crazy amounts of materials or whatever else. I believe the actual materials that you get are only a first-time thing, and you only get cash and kudos from then on. Actually, the kudos thing was pretty cool. Basically think of the XCOM points from XCOM 2. It's like every time you get a flank shot on somebody or fire from above or give a counter or something like that, you get another point. And you basically just use them to unlock background stuff. So, well, you use them to use what's basically like the card mechanic from Ogre Battle. So that's kind of neat. You can actually, I guess it's kind of more like the commands from Valkyria Chronicles. It's kind of in the middle of both of those. You get a certain amount of points. You spend those points on just like instantly healing somebody 50%, putting somebody's turn up ahead, that kind of business. But yeah, great system on that one. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it. It's like Quitties, I don't know. But that's about all I have to say on it for now. Yep, fantastic. I'm really, really, really surprised. I'm really surprised how good it turned out. So, anyway, that's all for the kind of early impressions, and I gotta get going. That's all I really have time for right now, and yeah, looking forward to trying the full thing. You guys have a good one. Take care, and let me know if you tried the full thing, and if it really does continue as well as it seems to. All right, bye.